And we're live. Welcome to, what is this? The 7th edition of Community Currencies Now. With I'm very excited about this one. We have some really cool people here that I haven't talked to Dan Finlay in I don't know how long. He was the first person I ever did VR with, and as is one of the heroes of the Ethereum community. Dan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dan Finlay. I'm one of the founders at Metamask, and we've been building a kind of cryptocurrency wallet for Ethereum for 4 years now. And we've still got a long ways to go, but we think a lot about how it can be used for community currencies. And I mean, the whole thing is kind of about alternative economic experiments, right? So whenever I tune in to your show, I've always been like, oh, these are kindred spirits. Look at them talking about what we could possibly do. And so I several times wanted to chime in. So happy to come in and share my angle on it.
Well, it's an honor to have you here, Dan, seriously. And we're also joined by Fernanda from Holochain and director of the Commons engine. I'm really excited to get the community currency space to understand what's going on in the Commons engine and the Holochain world and the Ethereum space, because we honestly, we get so sucked into our little Twitter bubbles that we miss out on the magic that you guys are working on. Fernanda, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you, Griff. So, well, first, thank you, Dan, for your work. MetaMask was the first interface I used ever for crypto. So thank you. It was very easy. And as you said, Griff, I'm a co-director of the Commons Engine. We're two women. We were founded by three women. And the Commons Engine is a sister organization of Holochain and Holo. We're really the same people. It's like when Holochain and Holo were done. I mean, not done, but when they were like, okay, guys, you're in your track. Let's build a Commons Engine, because now we need to be able to apply this technology to commons-oriented projects. Otherwise, the technology is just the technology, which is a mean to a higher goal. And that higher goal is to be able to help everyone, to be in service of people. Otherwise, technology is no good. It has to be good for the people. Mm.
Nice.
And as well, that's it. Leave it there.
Yeah, perfect. And also, of course, I'm joined as always by Julio, who's founder of the CCA, co-founder with Gus, and is representing the audience here. So if you have any questions, he's gonna pipe up and say, "Oh, hey, I got something." Julio, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Julio. I'm from Guatemala. I'm based in Berlin, and I work on Universal Basic Income.
Yeah, amazing work on Circles. But today we have some other topics in Circles. It's all about Commons Engine, and I would love to hear more, Fernanda, about, you said you even have an announcement for us today about something that's going on.
I did say that. Well, I'll leave the announcement last. What about that? What the Commons Engine works and our approach to currencies sometimes is not that popular because we bring a very different definition to currencies. The reason why we bring a definition to currencies that's very different is because our approach, as you and people that know Holochain know this, is that we're inspired by nature. Why not be inspired by this beautiful billions of years consultant that has proven absolute success on how to create life, right? And so for us, if we believe that, well, it's not a belief, it's actually a fact that objects don't make a living system alive. What makes a living system alive is its flows. It's the relationship in between those objects. So for us, a way to see a current is a symbol system that enables, shapes, or makes flows visible. So in that regard, which is too abstract right now to understand, just like by the definition, right? It's to like, what? Sure, okay. But the part that belongs to community currencies or cryptocurrencies is an aspect of tradable wealth. What we call what we do for products and services, and it's a small part of a bigger whole that compromises or integrates all system levels of integrity. And I can say more, but Commons Engine, our goal is to be able to be in service to all those levels of wealth, tradable wealth, measurable wealth, acknowledgeable wealth, and possible potential wealth. Again, too abstract, but we're here to be able to be designers for helping people to be able to create significant and meaningful change by identifying small flows that they want to be able to change, and then be able to design targeted currencies that enable that. And I can go into examples to get it more concrete, but I'll leave it to you, Griff, to guide it.
I would love to hear an example. I'm a big fan of the framing that you, Arthur Brock, and the Holochain crew have brought to currencies, especially around, it doesn't always have to be a scarcity focused currency. Like I really liked an analogy to certifications that you receive from a college, for instance. They're scarce, but they're not necessarily, always like transactional. And there's different ways to play with reputation and still call this a currency. If you'd be down to go into that. Yeah.
Well, you got it. And some good examples are, you mentioned not always scarce, but it's also not always monetary. It can be non-monetary, right? So you can have multiple examples for that. And the ones that I would like to focus on for the Commons Engine is for what we call universal human needs. And, take it now in the time of the COVID, we are facing possible economic devastation that is going to happen from that wave of loss of employment and all that is occurring right now in the economic system. But people, still eat, they need transport, they need housing, they need electricity. I would say computing power is a universal human need, because we also, it's our access to knowledge. And right now, when we are, locked down in our homes, it's especially important to be able to communicate with others and build community. So if you take each one of those, you can identify, let's say, a particular issue. And then, for example, we are designing an asset-backed currency backed by food. And we are partnering with a company that produces these beautiful organic food crystals, just one ingredient. And it's shelf-friendly, highly nutritious, super flavor and fragrance. And then you can store it for many years. So you have a reserve. You can have a food reserve with that. And then you can create, that company also works with the seconds, which is the food that the market won't buy. And so you can get, I'm going to speak about one first level of a whole constellation of currencies we're designing with them. And we call it the coupons. So think about a coupon. It's a currency, right? You can get one thing and you get it for gas or you get it for food and you go trade it in the supermarket. It's a very simple currency, really low hanging fruit. But what we want is to be able to create more of the facilities that produce this food and to be able to get money to the company. So, and not to the company, but from the community to fund these gentle drying centers. So what we do is we're designing a coupon. And it's not a coupon because you don't supposed to spend it. You're supposed to keep it. So it's a coupon, so you buy the coupon and then there has built incentives to keep it for a long period of time. The more you keep it, the more food you'll be able to acquire with that coupon. And the company can use it to bring a facility to life so that specific community can have its local food facility for these crystals, for these just one crystals. We call them gentle drying centers. You can have a gentle drying center being built and funded by the community through the coupons. So it's very simple. So simple things like that. Sometimes you can use a same type of currency. One time we designed one called mangoes, because the owner died, and the community loved the mango. The mango was a place where the community gathered, and owner died, and nobody knew what was going to happen with the mango. Nobody had money, and there was debt, and he died, and he had nothing but the mango. And so we created this currency called mangoes that people would buy, and then they would come and spend it in the restaurant for over a year. But it helped fund the immediate thing that we needed for that particular restaurant. So, and we printed it and recreated like beautiful currency that we would then redeem once you go and spend it in the restaurant. So very simple things like that. What's the problem? What's the flow? What's the targeted currency that can provide a solution?
It's so nice to have people who have actually been part of starting currencies. There's a lot of wisdom that can be given to, especially the community currency space, in the cryptocurrency space, that we're designing the tech, but we don't have that applicable knowledge of oh, wait, maybe we should keep it simple for users, well, I was going to transition to Dan, but you wanted to give an announcement, right? Maybe, is this the time, or should we leave it for the end?
Let's leave it till the end.
Okay. Keep everyone in suspense. So
yeah,
Dan here is one of the unsung heroes in Ethereum. Everyone uses his work and probably just complains on GitHub more often than giving the acknowledgement of how your MetaMask is what we're all building for. It's the default wallet in Ethereum. And to bring it into the community currency space, these wallets can enable community currencies, or they can add a lot of friction to them. And could you explain a little bit about the interface between wallets and community currencies?
Okay, yeah. And I mean, I almost would love to just hear Fernanda talk about the different technology stacks she's using and the friction points. I bet she could talk more about the friction points than even I could, but I can talk about the friction points I've been aware of and how we've been building to accommodate those. And so one of the things is that a lot of wallets in the space, they are a lot like traditional exchanges. Like they list the top 500 tokens, and and it's what the top 500, you got your Bitcoin, you got your Ethereum, your and people are going down this list, and those are all good investments, you should just invest in those. But that doesn't appreciate the long tail of possible community investments. Like Fernanda's saying, during COVID is a perfect example. You can look around, there are needs everywhere. The restaurant industry is crumbling. Lots of workers are just having to stay home. I know many people who have just lost their jobs, and because the economy is changing, people are driving less. And so when there's suddenly fewer needs of one type, other people's needs didn't disappear. They need, to be able to survive and live and coordinate in whatever ways they can. And I think that one of the ways that you can do that with cryptocurrencies repeatedly, and I think a lot of the examples in that constellation Fernanda described is this is, there's kind of two sides you can do with the cryptocurrency. You can express what your needs are, or you can express what you have. So if you're a grocery store, you can sell coupons, you can offer coupons, you could register, certifications, mangoes, and let people, or what was the one, the coupon? You could give out a coupon and issue your goods according to that. But in order for those community currencies to work, wallets need to work for more than just the top 500 cryptocurrencies. And in fact, sometimes the top 500 cryptocurrencies actually can be a little scammy. Sometimes very famous people in the space go around on tour and they'll be promoting a crypto that maybe it's years from creation, maybe has fatal flaws that actually make it fundamentally, unsound, but still that's what people are throwing their money in. And that's what all the wallets are auto detecting. And then they do an airdrop, and now everybody's wallet shows, some currency, and it's not anything that they care about. It doesn't relate to their life or anything. And so what we've thought a lot about at Metamask is, what does it mean to make a wallet where somebody could create their own currency and put their currency in their wallet, put their currency in their friend's wallet, make it as accessible as possible to their life, without, just having some centralized list. We don't want to keep a list of community currencies. I don't want you to send me a pull request every time you have a new idea. I want you to have more ideas than I could ever imagine, because like you already have, and that's how it should be. The world is way bigger than any one team is going to be. So I think it's critical we're building tools that scale, that you give it to somebody else and they can just run free and do their thing. So we made one tool. It's an API that lets you add a token to the wallet. So that's one simple way. But also, the Ethereum blockchain only scales so much. We've already hit this point where a lot of things like sending a token can be like $10. Well, I hope that your daily mango is like worth a lot more than that to you. Otherwise, you're hitting another problem. And that's part of why, MetaMask is we're building a plugin system, which is designed so you can add new ledgers into the wallet, so that you don't have to be on necessarily the main network for every currency. We're building for a future, and it's not live yet. We have a beta of it, but we're building towards a space where we hope that people can invent their own community ledgers, and they could hook their wallet into that, and they could use it for that. And long term, we hope to make that experience seamless. So if you have a store and you have a community currency, you should be able to just put a QR code on your cash register. And the way I see it, somebody should get the wallet, and they don't think about what ledger it is, or they don't think about what blockchain. They don't have to learn it. They load it up. They can buy it. And maybe they just see the menu of your store. Maybe they can just start shopping already. Maybe they can check out. I was thinking how silly it was at self-checkout. Like I went to Home Depot. There was like a line that was like 2 hours long for the self-checkout. It's like, wait, there's like 4 computers. Like we're all getting in line for a barcode scanner. We each have like a little camera. We have a camera in our pocket and we're getting in line for a computer. Like, come on, we can, I think, have a better experience checking out and interacting with restaurants. Yeah, and not to mention, during lockdown periods, no one's staying at restaurants, everyone's doing takeout. So that online menu is more important than ever. Well, that's the one thing that we can actually compete with as small businesses. Small business can't buy a huge place, but a small business could have a website with a menu and let people buy and order, and maybe pre-buy coupons for a year to help bootstrap their efforts. And so anyways, those are some ways that we're looking at the wallet as a space where the wallet itself is extensible by the people who use it in a way that hopefully they can, use it to design the community that they're trying to.
I think we're quickly going to a multi-currency world where in an ideal fashion, you hold your tokens in your maybe even a balancer style wallet where it can be rebalanced, and you can people will even pay you to rebalance your holdings, right? And then the grocery store has its own currency, and these different communities will have their own currencies, and there'll be a frictionless interface between the currencies. And but with this, if we are going to this multi-currency world where we live, instead of everybody having their own business model, they start having their own economic models. Then we move into kind of a trust situation where how do you know what currencies you can trust and interact with safely? And actually, Julio was asking, we were chatting about what we were going to talk about in this call, and he was very curious about your view on personal tokens and like the problem with like some of these less trusted or more centralized controlled currencies with risk and trust, and how do we navigate there? Because I know you've had some pretty cool thoughts on this.
Yeah, I definitely. As soon as I saw the personal tokens meme getting any traction, I was like, I'm using that term. I'm going to say that a lot. I'm promoting that. I was super excited to, I feel like I kind of famously get pointed at, like Alex Masmej sold his personal token. He was able to raise $20,000 for himself, and enough to, he's was planning to move to San Francisco. Then the lockdown happened. But the point is, it gave him some runway. He had already proven that he could build some useful tools for the ecosystem. And he was saying, like, do I have people now who would believe in me to like take some time and build my next thing? I was like, hey, I believe in you a little bit, and it wasn't more than I could lose. I don't know him personally, but hey, like a kid who's, excited to build stuff. hell yeah. Like you know, there have been a lot of people who criticize them, like, is it a security or whatever? I personally, as an investor, I don't feel bad if it, like, I don't think he's ripping me off. If he fails, I think it will be genuine and honest, and I won't demand payment, you know. And I think that's what community investment usually looks like. Like, if you're investing in someone who you trust, there's usually a potential for forgiveness involved. And that's why I think that community kind of economics are way more powerful than bank-based economics. Like, if you go to the bank, you ask for a loan, like, oh, you better believe they're going to collect. They don't trust you at all. They're going to give you a high interest rate. They're not going to lend you very much. And if you don't pay them back, like, they will use the full force of the law, you know, to ruin your life. Like, that's not a great deal. You compare that with, what if you could just go around, you know, and it's a pain, you know, obviously, and not everyone has access to a community they can ask for money, but I do think that people have access to communities that have different resources. And if we had ways of expressing those resources and expressing those resources in networks, I think there's opportunities where we could actually realize a lot more of the power that people have already. So like for example, okay, I, you know, maybe I come from a poor town, maybe my family's not wealthy, but maybe we're really good at what we do. And there are people who appreciate what we do. And so maybe I can't put a down payment on, you know, maybe we're really good cobblers or something. Maybe I can't put that down payment on school, but if there's enough staff in the school who want to buy futures on our shoes, then maybe I could actually, you know, round it up and work out the deal. And the more we can allow the technology to facilitate the matchmaking of those kinds of dispersed currencies, like that's what the technology can do. Because obviously we could already barter, but barter is inefficient. The whole problem, you know, the big Adam Smith thing with money is it solves the coincidence of wants, but maybe computers can too.
Yeah, and they can make it more, even have less friction, right? Where these things are just exchanging. We do have some questions, actually. Manu, a friend of mine actually in Barcelona, is asking, is there any currency backed by human capital? I think this is more for Fernanda. Is there any currencies like that, apart from time banks, that are backed by human capital? And then also he has a few more questions about how Keepon works and how it flows and if it's backed by something. Actually, he has a lot of questions. So, but maybe we'll start with the description of currencies that are backed by human capital.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So I have here a little deck that is called the Wisdom Economy card deck. And in here, Sean Evjorn and Claudia Meglin did an incredible work defining different currencies for different 10 types of capital. And in the kind of the way we define them, you can think about human capital currencies as way. What flows do you want to see in human capital? Do you want to see performance? Well, maybe you do. 360-degree assessment, or maybe you want to be more personal and you do a survey, or maybe you want to get even more personal and you'll ask people to rate themselves on how do you feel that their work was happened over that period of time. So, you know, I could have a 1 to 5 start where I feel like, oh yeah, I can rate myself. I think I was 5 level efficiency, from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being excellent. I would say I did a 5, but I would say that in punctuality I did a 2, and I would say that, you know, so you can have those kind of design within the definition of our current or of currencies, because you're looking at reputation, right? So you can have that. We were even thinking with Sean about having a way in which we can visualize how humans collaborate within an organization, but to be able to sense how they feel, the collective sentiment within any given day. So imagine that you arrive to your office and you open your office app, you know, we call it whatever, and you open up and you say like, oh wow, according to these rainbow colors, If, you know, like red is I'm not feeling that good today, everything has happened, all is wrong. And purple is I'm feeling ecstatic, I'm super happy and super hyper focused, and we can put any values that we want to the colors of the rainbow. I choose my color of the rainbow, and then what if we can have a display in the work of all the different colors of the spectrum of the rainbow for that day? All you want to see is you're just enabling, or you're just something making the sentiment visible. You're not doing anything with it. But if you turn out to be in a red day, because guess what? COVID just happened. Everybody is like alert, vigilant, frightened, you know, all these things that have happened. Sometimes the collective is in red. You have the possibility to talk about it.
Absolutely. Integrating personal sentiment into the economy. How nice would that be, right? Where we can actually start, it's not all just ones and zeros, give me yours, give me mine, you know, there's like kind of more of a diverse feedback system where the economy responds to actual needs of humanity as opposed to just moving objects around.
Exactly. And then you connect to what Nora Bateson calls warm data, because then you can see, wow, it's red today. Let's get some storytelling. People, what's going on?
Yeah. By the way, just a quick, Jeff from the Common Stack just did a great interview with Norma Bateson. Check the Common Stack Twitter if you want to check that out and watch it, because it was a really good one. She's someone that she's a huge influencer that I think the crypto space could learn a lot from. Okay, but Manu also asked how exactly the coupon works. Like, how does it flow and if it's backed by something?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so if I can share the screen, I can show you what it is backed by. Yep. And let's see. So these are organic food crystals, and it's only one ingredient. And this is raspberry and cauliflower and aronia. And, you know, so you have all these different fruits and vegetables. And they are produced with, they're gentle dried. So it's like the evolution of freeze drying. It takes 4 minutes with water, and it preserves all the nutrients. It has incredible flavor, and it can be kept for years and years and years. So that's what we are backing the currency with, because you can store them. So in the moment we need, Just One Organics needs to have that food reserve in the moment that it sells the coupons, because otherwise it would be a security. So they can produce that food. They can then be able to keep that food for you. And then when you buy the coupon, you invest in the company, you know what you're investing for, but you are really going to get food for that investment. And the more you wait, you can say, like, you know, right now there's a flood, I'm in India, there's no food, I really want my food now. Now would be good, you know, so we send it to you. But if you can keep it, you keep it for longer, then you get more and more food up I think, up 3 years or something like that. So then you can have also like food reserves that we can put in communities. That's kind of an idea would be that we launch a coupon when a community wants to build their own gentle drying center. And let's say it's in Atlanta. So people in Atlanta invest because they want the gentle drying center, because they want to be able to support farmers, because the mission of this company is to be able to support farmers to transition from organic to regenerative agriculture. Why? Because the soil is the answer to many of our problems, like climate change and hunger and health and, you know, others, right? As it's been more and more spread, the answers are in the microbiome. So what if you could know as a contributor that by getting your coupons, you're contributing to regenerative agriculture, but you're also bringing a gentle drying center to your home place, and you're gonna have food reserves there. In the case of any emergency, the food reserves will be there.
It's beautiful, Fernanda. It sounds a bit to me like this is sort of a demi-rash currency. Am I correct on this? Is there like some sort of
Yes,
parking fee?
exactly.
That's so interesting because it's really going back to the ancient times when, in Egypt, for example, you had this same type of storage of grain, and they would issue a token, right, that had a negative interest embedded on it. And what that does, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Fernanda, is that it makes people think more long term as opposed to the short termism of debt money today.
Exactly. And we would like, so it has like an opposite demurrage in a way, because you want to be able to get more money because the incentive is different. That's why it's a coupon. You're supposed to keep it, right? Why demurrage is you're supposed to incentivize spending. But after a period of 3 years, then you reverse, and then you start to get into, okay, it's now time to trade your currency, so that we don't have to have all those food reserves forever. We can be moving them, right? First arrived, first served, and move that food around.
This is what's really exciting, is being able to actually design a currency that fits the given application, the given economic design and desires, right? And just having the freedom to start doing that. One thing I want to make sure that we get into here is that you're working with Holochain, and Dan and I think Julio as well, we're more focused on Ethereum, and they have very different infrastructure layers. And without getting so technical, could you give us a quick overview of what makes Holochain different than most other cryptocurrencies?
Well, the first difference is that it's not a cryptocurrency, right? It doesn't even have one. So this is a constant confusion. Holo has a cryptocurrency. Holochain has no cryptocurrency. Holochain is a distributed framework for applications. And Holo runs on Holochain. And Holochain is a beautiful framework to be able to create mutual credit currencies. So to run them, right, to create the management of mutual credit currencies, because you can have double entry accounting, you can have your own DHT, your own distributed hash table. So everything is written in your own ledger, and every transaction is written in your own ledger, and it's safe, it's with your own private key. So every time that we have a transaction, it's written and signed by both of us. So it makes it like and because it's super light, so you don't have you don't have the cost of gas to be able to make that trade, then it's beautiful specifically for mutual credit currencies. So, like Holo has a currency, actually has two, right? One is HOT, which is Ethereum based. So thank you, Ethereum, because thanks to them, we were able to kickstart our organization, and we're very grateful for that. And then the current Holo is a peer-to-peer hosting network that hosts are going to be paid in a mutual credit currency called Holo Fuel. So hosts give service, things like Airbnb. So you invite people to your house, you offer their free bed, and you get paid for it. And in Holo, you offer your free space in your computer, and you get paid for hosting a little piece of the internet, and you get paid on Holo Fuel. So imagine that size of a transaction. It's micro. So it wouldn't make sense to pay gas for something that teeny. So Holochain is built for microservices and microtransactions in a way that makes it very distinct from Ethereum.
Very cool. Dan, do you have any questions about that? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on, because you're so deep in the Ethereum infrastructure,
Sure. I mean, obviously I have all sorts of questions. I mean, it sounds like I would almost want to dive into the architecture. I don't know if that's the right use for this, but it sounds very interesting. And yes, yeah. So Holo being, wait, okay, yes, the two. So Holochain being the thing that doesn't have a coin, involves signatures from both parties, being designed for community currencies. I guess usually when people talk about things that are signed by both parties, usually the reason you'd incorporate a blockchain is because it serves the role of a third counterparty, so that a third person could refer to it to know that that transaction was not a double spend, because I can get you to sign a transaction that I'm paying you, but it's hard for you to know that I'm not doing the same thing with someone else at the same time. I don't know if Holo has a model for solving that, the Byzantine general, or what the double spend problem.
The double spend problem. Well, Holochain is a distributed ledger, so it has, the difference is we don't have blocks, we have a chain. And so every time that you sign on a transaction and we double sign it, then that means that we are both trusting each other. And that gets in the data. And the data, you can't tamper with the data, as the same that you cannot tamper with the data in the blockchain. And it can identify bad actors if they want to be double, if they want to have like the spending again, it will immediately identify them. And then, depends on the social contract that exists within that application. Because within my application, for example, I can say, if somebody tries to do that, they're out. They're out of the community. We're merciless. You're out.
So it's a socially enforced.
Another community can say, slap in the wrist, malo, and you decide what is that you want to do.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that a lot of like personal currencies, community currencies, they already have such a heavy element of trust that often the blockchain is almost excessive for them, because it's like they could already print their own. They could already not redeem. You could already not send me food crystals. And so the real risk, like if you wanted to defraud me, there's already like a lot of ways you could do it. And so the double spend problem is like an accounting concern, and it doesn't really come into play the same way.
Especially when it's a mutual credit currency, because in a mutual credit currency, the supply is zero. Always. Right. It's an interesting switch where we're used to like, oh, but there's this many units of currency. And instead, with mutual credit currencies, it's like, well, I trust Dan up to, 1,000 DAI because I know this guy. Yeah, absolutely, man. You should see my trust lines. My DAI trust line network is solid. But I trust you up to 1,000 DAI. So we just have this credit line now, and when I send you 100 DAI or you send me 100 DAI, negative 100 there, positive 100 there. And so we both need to agree on this. We don't need anyone else. There's no global supply, right? Maybe Fernanda.
Supply and demand are automatically balanced. And the thing, I love working with technologists because you're so bright and you can have like all kinds of solutions for problems. And the other aspect that you need when you're getting a currency out is the social part, is a community. If Holochain didn't have a community that believed in Holochain and believed in Holo, there's no way they're gonna get hot. There's no way they're gonna keep hot when we're in our problem solving and we took so much time to deliver. It wouldn't, it's just, I think it's a human thing. So for us in Holochain, our bet is human collective intelligence versus machine, intelligence, not versus, but, as important or very important. We love humans and we trust that humans can do it together. So Holochain is basically built for changing patterns, social and coordination patterns. And if you think about money that way, like money, we use it for large coordination. It's a tool for coordination at scale. It's a collective intelligence tool. And so, but we can design it better because the way that is designed, it's also a collective stupidity tool because we're so alert to it that, we're doing all these things to the environment and all these things to each other because it's just hits our ego in a grand way.
Yeah, I would even say that like income inequality or something, or wealth inequality is a form of collective stupidity, because it's a way that the financial nervous system just overweights some people. And okay, yes, some of those were earned because they made returns on their investments, but a lot of it is inherited and a lot of it is exploitive. A lot of it is externalities and pushing off burdens on others and the environment. And all of those just combine to incentivizing all of us cooperating in the service of things that could be hurting us. And that's one of the reasons that I feel like when we create our own currencies, we're creating our own way of working together. our own way of building civilization and hopefully expressing values and preserving the things that matter to us a little bit better than the traditional, money system that we use today, mostly.
Yeah, and if it's not better, then it won't succeed, right?
Yeah, and then we'll make another one. It's
Yeah.
very easy.
There's pros and cons. Oh, go ahead, Julio.
No, yeah, I just to sort of try to tie in a bit the threads together. I see you, Dan, who has this deep knowledge about the ecosystem in Ethereum, and also you, Fernanda, with this like holistic, understanding of currencies. Do you see any way in which the space as a whole, let's say Ethereum and Holochain, can collaborate in some way or form? I'm sure there are already many collaborations happening, but for example, at the Community Currency Alliance, we're trying to put together all the projects that are doing good work on the ground with communities, trying to build different alternatives to figure out how to sort of federate or create some, interusable infrastructure that, so what you said, Dan, like anybody can come and just issue their own community currency with the communities they have and make a sort of money commons viral, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the popular wallet is in the Holochain scene, but like I said earlier, we're building towards, and it's not currently easy on MetaMask. It's not currently possible, but very soon we hope to allow plugging in new networks, and that is designed because I want users to be able to trust new currencies the same way they trust each other. Like I very much think of this computer architecture as the same thing as the social trust layer. People often act like running a Bitcoin full node is trustless as it gets, but you downloaded it from somebody and they coded it, and and you trust your computer to run it, and then you trust your wallet to show the right balance. And actually, there's like 50 links of social trust on the most trustless system you have. And so rather than acting like cryptocurrency is some perfect, like, what is it? Not subjective, but objectification of the world. Like, instead, I think it's better to look at it for what it is, which is it's a new tool. You can trust some aspects of it. You can try it out. And I want MetaMask users to be able to try out. Like, if Holochain has a community and you guys are helping people actually make things today, well, then that's the kind of, 100% the kind of community we want to link up with and help facilitate. So I very much just hope to make that interoperation possible, and I think it's kind of on our end. So I feel like be patient with us. Building it is a delicate matter, but yeah, I see no other thing stopping us.
No, thank you. I love your answer. I love your answer. And from the Commons Engine perspective, if when Just One Organics comes to us and says, help us design a currency, and we find that Holochain's a fit, then we use Holochain. If we think that there's another answer that is better for that particular currency, we'll use another technology. So it's not that we love Holochain and we'll try to do the most we can with it, but we can also understand that there's multiple technologies available, and that can even be the combination of different technologies because a solution might need it. And we see that happening already. People that say, oh, I use blockchain for this and Holochain for that. And, you can have a full tech stack for any given solution. I mean, I don't see us as, when people are going like, mine is better. No, mine is better. I go like, oh, really? Can we move out of that conversation and just like think we have a common goal? Can we have a common goal? Can we align that we really need to put all our hearts and minds and our will into creating an infinite game, a different planet, and different behavior to preserve our incredible planet? Can we agree on that? So it doesn't really matter. Let's all succeed, please. We need diversity. Nature is built upon diversity. We don't want just Holochain. We don't want just Ethereum. We just don't, we want to be able to have that diversity that fits that multiple already existing polycultural diversity of the world. The same way as Vancouver for Kenya. And it's incredible solution. Oh my God, what an amazing thing.
Yeah, grassroots economics is one of the most, probably as far as like blazing trails for social impact using like the forefront of cryptocurrency, like technology and cryptocurrencies. Grassroots economics is definitely worth looking into.
Shout out to
But
Will and his team.
yeah,
Totally.
Will Ruddock, my hero, right? But something you said there, I want to highlight, because it's one of the things I appreciate the Holochain community the most for, is this perspective of economic games. That really this whole economic systems that we're creating is just a game. It's a point system. You want the high score. You can't help yourself. You're just playing to get the high score. Unfortunately, when we're playing to get the highest score, we're often doing things we don't want to do for some reason. You know, in fact, it seems like money is the main thing that gets us to do things we don't want to do. So sometimes it's a horrible system. And then on top of that, you know, if the end goal is to create regenerative value for humanity, if this is something that we want to use these economic games to do, we're missing a huge spectrum of what has value. And the Commons engine and the Commons stack, we're really focused on bringing value to those pieces. What is generally referred to as non-excludable economic goods, the environment, public goods, right? Safety in a given area, a lighthouse, right? This public infrastructure that is very hard to create a gate around. And so then it's very hard to create customers. It doesn't work in the economy that we have, but we have the opportunity to create new economic games that can actually reward value creation towards public goods, whether it's through the issuance of a currency, or even just coming up with novel economic solutions that don't necessarily follow the same pattern of a scarce resource being passed around. And I would love to hear any of these like novel, value-driven economic games that either of you guys have seen or heard of, that you think could really contribute towards, you know, helping the environment, helping support public goods. You guys have anything on that?
Fernanda.
Well, you said something that for Holochain is really important. For us, we call it unenclosable carriers. So it's built for unenclosable carriers, which are very important function of the patterns created through the Holochain protocol. So especially if you're gonna build like peer-to-peer applications and services for communication or interaction, you want to be able to have it in a way that people cannot censor it or corrupt it or bring it down, or, you know, so it's like speech, you know, right now, unless you kick me out of the room or mute me, you know, through the carrier of air, you can't stop the message. So in some point, the internet was like that, and in some point it will become enclosed. So we want to be able to unenclose it. And from there, we can be able to create all sorts of peer-to-peer applications, but also currencies for universal human needs. And so, you know, there is Red Grid working for energy, and there's just one working with food, and there's Holo working for computing capacity. And you know, we want to be able to get out of the social networks that sell our data, because we are the product. So that's an incredible social change with an immense impact. You know, especially nowadays, where we know that the big powers can control what we hear, what we see, who we see, what they don't like, what content they want to censor, and there's this whatever magnanimous voice or, you know, entity or government that is deciding what is the safe information for us. So all those need to be unenclosable carriers and happen in that form. So there's more, but I'm aware of the announcement time and Julio writing, and being 5 minutes to finish.
Sorry, I was muted. And Dan, do you know of any like novel economic games that you think have some interesting applications?
You know, I'm not my ideas aren't, I think, as developed and sophisticated as a lot of the constellation that Fernanda's been sharing, but I'll just highlight one thing that I think is a recurring theme in my work that I think is important. And once you have that uncensorable layer that Fernanda's talking about, I think it is important that people then on top of it have their own platform of consent. And so while we don't want to be able to censor her, we want her to have her voice, we each also have the right to our ears. and ideally that extends onto the social media feed and who you follow. And so the censorship is one side of the social media problem when it's centralized. The other side is that you don't have control of your feed. It becomes polluted by advertisements or recommendations, or that you don't understand the reason for. And I think so. There's kind of two sides. We have to increase the uncensorability, but also the user control, so that when we are extending, the whole notion, this recurring theme of extending trust is only meaningful if you didn't do it by default. So restoring user control, where you have a starting point, where you actually are able to give consent, is I think a big recurring theme, and that's my favorite mechanism. And right now, and it's very simple. It's the simplest one, but I think we can still run a long way with it.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard actually a lot of comparisons between Scuttlebutt and Holochain as well for applications.
That makes sense.
But yes, but it is announcement time. So
announcement time. Okay.
This whole time, like, please tell us what's.
Okay, so I'm gonna share, like, this has been we've been cooking, Arthur Brock and I and other friends, Eric Harris Brown, this for a while, and we're very close to the incorporation and bringing out another organization as part of our ecosystem, and it's called Coventina Foundation. And Coventina is a Celtic goddess, because for us it's very important to bring feminine values into the things that we design, the technologies as well as the currencies that we design, right? Community that are community-oriented, relationship-oriented, fractal, organic. And Coventina Foundation is going to exist for the purpose of investing in applications, in Holochain applications, but also universal currencies, or currencies for universal human needs, not universal currencies, but currencies for universal human needs. And so we're very excited about that, because we've been waiting for a while. And the community has also been waiting, like saying, how is Holochain gonna help with this? And so the founders are pretty much opening the Coventina Foundation for us to be able to then bring and accelerate and incubate these different platforms that are commons oriented, that are going to be targeting, and hopefully where we will be able to see a lot of great examples for social impact and social change. Then we can come to your show and share all the incredible examples of the things that the community is doing.
That's very exciting. That's very exciting. Well, I want to give Dan a chance for any last words that he has to summarize the conversation, and then that's it.
This was a lot of fun. I never had no idea what to expect, but it was a great time meeting you, Fernanda and Julio. And yeah, so thanks for having me, Griff.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. If you were watching this and you really enjoyed this, please like and subscribe so that we can get this video out and more people can be inspired by the work that's being done inside the crypto space and outside the crypto space, so we can just help solve some of these problems that we're all facing with the actual attribution of value, and we can create and inspire more new novel economic systems.